If there is a global acknowledgement that SIDS require special assistance, and that because of our negligible contributions to the climate crisis and our extreme exposure and the impacts we face, that we have special circumstances, if we start there by accepting that fact, then I believe that that would lead to a shift in how we mobilize resources to small island developing states. Greetings. I'm Dr. Joyelle Clarke. I'm the Minister for Sustainable Development, Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. For small island developing states like St. Kitts and Nevis, or rather for Caribbean states, our climate challenges are mostly environmental and economic and non-economic. And it's all because of our geography, where we're located in the Caribbean, we're tropical, we're island nations, which means we're coastal, and of course, our very small size. The environmental challenges are such that because of a warming climate, we're experiencing drought. We've had at least 10 years of drought across the region. Water scarcity then becomes a big challenge for us. We have saltwater intrusion in our aquifers, St. Kitts and Nevis in particular, because of rising sea levels. We're also experiencing coastal erosion because of rising sea levels. And of course, with being in the hurricane belt, we're exposed annually to hurricanes, which are causing serious challenges, not just for our built environment, but for the agricultural sector, the tourism sector. Additionally, the economic challenges that we face as a direct result of climate change are such that our very small and shrinking economies are extremely exposed to exogenous or external threats. It means that no matter what we do and no matter how negligible our contributions to climate change, we're always going to suffer. And for us, this is then tied to the increasing energy costs because our generation of power is tied to fossil fuels. So we are always going to be at risk for climate change, and the climate challenges will always impact not just our environment, our economies, but our livelihoods. Good question. So for a small island and practically the smallest independent nation in the Western Hemisphere, size can be a hindrance or an opportunity. For us, we're using it as an opportunity to collaborate, in particular with our regional partners and our international allies. However, we recognize that if we were to achieve sustainability or to meet the global mark for sustainable development by 2030, that we needed an SDG accelerator, and that's what we use in terms of presenting our sustainable island state agenda to the world. We have twinned this vision for sustainability and climate resilience with the attainment of the SDGs. In doing so, we recognize that we needed regional partnerships. So we're working very closely with the University of the West Indies to ensure that all our actions are based on data and science, that we can map where we need to go, and we can present to the world very feasible options for investing in sustainability in St. Kitts and Nevis. We've also partnered with our regional groupings like 5Cs, the Caribbean Climate Change Center. We are working very closely with implementing partners like CCRE to ensure that our projects for energy, our projects for accessing climate finance, such as the Green Climate Fund, are feasible, sound, and definitely smart. With our access to the climate finance from the Green Climate Fund, for example, we have used up to $8 million in readiness support, not just for the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Environment et al., but across ministries and across sectors to ensure that not just our ministry, but the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health have climate resilience built into their policy development. Additionally, sustainability becomes that golden thread woven through our projects, our policies, and how we attempt to achieve our overall goal of climate resilience. So under our Sustainable Island State agenda, we have presented to our nation, to the region, and to the world 7 transformational pillars on which we intend to build resilience, climate resilience, and sustainability. Energy transition, water security, food security, sustainable industries, sustainable settlements, the circular economy, and of course, health and social protection. And these 7 pillars are tied to every single SDG and are also tied to our National Development Planning Framework. Every ministry uses our 7 pillars, the NDPF framework, as well as our SDGs to plan their budgets, to develop policies, and to implement projects. So it's connected, it's integrated, and everyone is working towards sustainability. There are some flagship projects that I think are excellent examples that can be modeled regionally. For example, in terms of protected areas, for St. Kitts and Nevis and for St. Kitts in particular, we protected all of the lands above the 1,000 feet contour line. This means that absolutely no development, no construction, no harvesting, no activity can happen above this 1,000 feet contour line. This ensures that we meet our own biodiversity targets and our target of protecting 30% of our terrestrial space. Additionally, the Royal Bastille Valley National Park is also a protected space, and that allows us to protect our precious aquifer. And while it's already suffering from saltwater intrusion, having it as a protected space ensures that we keep what's dearest to us, which is water, safe. And there's another example that I'd really like to share, and that's the Eco Park. And that was done in partnership with the Republic of China and Taiwan. And that twins agriculture, tourism, and of course, green energy. And we have an excellent example of how both sectors can work towards sustainable tourism and sustainable agricultural practices, as well as renewable energy. So not only is it a space for farmers to train, to increase capacity and showcase what they can do in terms of sustainable agriculture, it's also a tourism hotspot for visitors. So using these models, we can ensure that sustainability is something that's happening in every single island. But finally, the last example, which I'm extremely proud of, is our recycling project that's done again in partnership with the Republic of China and Taiwan. And here we have a project that started with the Solid Waste Management Corporation and the Department of Environment, with support from Taiwan ICDF, which has blossomed into a project done with the Ministry of Education. And that's because we had students being integral in the collection of plastic bottles and recycling. Every Saturday, you would see persons at the drop-off points bringing their plastic bottles, and it was a really good precursor to our own decision to ban single-use plastics. And it's really an example of how every sector can come on board with sustainability initiatives if you make them fun, if you make them about learning, and also if you tie them to people's livelihoods. For St. Kitts and Nevis, it's obvious we don't have all the answers. We don't have a very large population. We're just 50,000. We don't have all the technical capacity and the advanced technology that we need to make some of these decisions. As such, international partnerships are key to getting us where we need to get. In particular, Canada, the government of Canada, has been extremely helpful with us in our journey towards banning single-use plastics. They have offered us the opportunity to do assessment in terms of how the plastic ban would affect different demographics. With the Republic of China and Taiwan, also an island nation and one of our longest international partners, they have been instrumental in terms of agro-processing, in terms of the single-use plastic ban, and of course, they have been partners in getting us from the recycling project to moving towards recycling of plastics, paper, and of course, single-use plastic ban. Because we're a small island developing state, and because we don't have a seat at every table, sometimes it's important to join some alliances internationally. So we have been part of the Ministerial Alliance for Ambition on Nature Finance, which is led by the government of Nigeria. Similarly, we're part of the World Coalition for Peace, which is led by the government of Colombia, coming out of COP16, and of course with the government of Canada, it's the Nature Champions Network. And this affords us the opportunity not just to be advocates for nature, for finance, climate finance, and biodiversity, but to be partners with the rest of the world. If there is a global acknowledgement that SIDS require special assistance, and that because of our negligible contributions to the climate crisis and our extreme exposure and the impacts we face, that we have special circumstances, if we start there by accepting that fact, then I believe that that would lead to a shift in how we mobilize resources to small island developing states. And for us, it's saddening because it's not that climate finance and adaptation finance isn't available. It's that the majority of that financing does not get to the countries that need it the most. Additionally, if we continue using the GDP as the sole measure of determining whether a country should access overseas development aid, then countries like St. Kitts and Nevis, which are seen as high-income countries, will always suffer. we are pushing for and we support the transition to the MDVI, the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index, which is a more accurate measure of our circumstances, which takes into account beyond matters and factors beyond our GDP to determine how we can be resourced. Additionally, we also support the Bridgetown Initiative, which recognizes that when a country is servicing debt and it experiences a climate crisis, a hurricane, it must have that pause to deal with its crisis and then service its debts later, to put it simply. There's a recognition also that vulnerability is not going to change. That circumstance won't change for small island developing states unless there is a shift in the international financial architecture, which provides more funding for us for adaptation. We need more adaptation financing. We need mitigation financing. But for countries, we need to ensure that the kind of resources we need are channeled to us, that if we're getting loans, that it is high quality debt that doesn't further indebt us and prevent us from developing our countries, and that we have more concessional grants as opposed to loans. That's the way in which we could really help small island developing states. I don't think it's a lack of ambition when it comes to women and leadership. And so I really embrace the theme for this year's International Women's Day, which is Accelerate Action, because it's time that our ambition now transitions to action. So there are 3 simple ways in which we can achieve this: resources, allies, and purposeful leadership. If we don't resource women and their work, then the work can't be done. If we don't have allies across all genders, then the work cannot be done. And importantly, if we don't have purposeful leadership for women, having them in decision-making spaces, then we can't accelerate action. These 3 ways, then we accelerate action. Because women are most proximate to the climate challenges, they need to be part of the solutions and they need to lead on the solutions. So they have a very significant role to play in terms of advancing climate resilience, ensuring that we are sustainable. And it's clear that once we offer women the resources, the opportunity to lead, and the support to implement their projects, then we can have a more sustainable and climate resilient population. However, the challenge is we don't often think that women-led solutions are the best approach to sustainability and climate resilience. And that's unfortunate. But if you are living the problem, if your lived reality is the climate challenge, why can't you be part of the solution? So I strongly believe that for sustainability, for advancing resilience in SIDS in particular, women have to be at the fore, they have to be resourced, they have to be given the right platform and the opportunity to lead with others to ensure we are sustainable and we are climate resilient. For me, recently I had the opportunity to be the keynote speaker at the Zayed Sustainability Prize Forum on the margins of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. Personally, it was an honor, a privilege. For St. Kitts and Nevis, it represented so much more. The opportunity, the access, the connection, the partnership. And I believe that when small island developing states are included in these international spaces and are given such opportunity to share our local experience, to share our challenges, and to learn from others, it means that we are on the right path to advancing sustainability and climate resilience, not alone, but with our international partners. I am very thankful for that opportunity, and I realize that the competition for sustainability, the prize, the award that participants received, it's also recognition that sharing resources, learning from each other, using your local knowledge to implement solutions for your country based on your limited resources and being recognized globally, that's a big thing. That's a huge deal for our small islands. So on behalf of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, I'm using this moment to express sincere gratitude to the Zayed Sustainability Prize Forum. You gave St. Kitts and Nevis a grand opportunity to present our experiences, to share our challenges, and to learn from others. We will always be a global partner, and we will always support the Zayed Sustainability Prize.